Motivation is the key to starting, continuing, and completing whatever you want to accomplish. Is motivation something that somebody says, does, or has that resonates with you? That gives you a mindset, a sense of direction for what you want and what you need to do. Motivation leads to putting in the work. The work leads to putting in time. Putting the time in leads to becoming capable. Setting a high standard, becoming more efficient, caring about your career and the people you are working with is motivating to others. In return, progression can be achieved. Positivity is always a good way to motivate. When someone's in a good mood, it becomes infectious. It provides the group with a good flow. Enjoying what you're doing makes things easy to accomplish together. Fear can be a motivator. The fear of failing can make you train more, study more, instill a better effort so all your work is beneficial. Completing accomplishments can be motivating, such as finishing tasks that money cannot buy, achievements that you know to be difficult, but you did it. Think about the excitement you feel when a task is completed. From those experiences, possibilities and opportunities are created for you and your family because you are making things happen. What motivates you?
I think I'm motivated by learning something new, mastering whatever I am doing. And that doesn't matter if it's here in the department or even at home. I like to be a master of whatever I'm doing as much as I can.
What motivates me? That's a good question. I think the biggest motivator I have is the desire to do better every day. When I get up, I think about coming to work and other things going on in life, but being better and making things better, that's typically what gets me motivated. I would say that's probably the biggest motivator I have.
I think probably the biggest thing that motivates me is the personnel. Being able to work with the personnel and seeing the good that comes out of the personnel from day to day, in returns just gives me the drive to want to be better and do better. There are a lot of things every day that motivate me. I see things around the station when the guys go and they come back from calls, and or I go to a call and I see them working out there, or I get compliments from the public. I had a fella from Rhode Island that's a retired fire chief, saw our people roll up on a fire, and he said he was amazed and impressed at how fast they got off the truck, all geared up, ready to go. Those things motivate me because it tells me that we are doing what's right for the community, and it keeps me going in what we're doing.
Well, I don't think you really keep the motivation that gets you started. I think your motivation changes. I remember when I first started at this department 21 years ago, my motivation was all about me. We can get the training as much as we want. One thing you can't get is experience unless you actually run the call and use it. So at first it's all about me and getting the experience to where I'm the best at what I can do. The longer I'm in this department and as my roles change through the department, I'm more about my crew. When I can have knowledge and pass it down to somebody and then see that person perform good or do a good extrication or a good rescue call, to me, that's motivation, because I know that I've passed that knowledge down and it's being used correctly. And so that's kind of what keeps me going now.
So maintaining my motivation that I have is definitely difficult some days, but
I try to look at the big picture and see why we're here and the service that we provide. Seeing the citizens that we go out and help, and seeing how much they appreciate what we do is definitely one positive there.
Well, it's difficult some days, as you know, whether it be the personal side or the work side, and trying to balance those two, but just to stay motivated. Sometimes it just feels like that everything's coming down on top of you. But to be perfectly honest with you, I have a tremendous amount of faith, and my faith gets me through that because I know, and I have a good relationship through my faith. And that's really, to be perfectly honest with you, what keeps me going.
One thing that I remember that kind of motivated me was years back when I was at the Sun City station working. We had a typical medical call at a residence. Wasn't nothing major to it. It was an elderly lady that fell and hit her head, and she was bleeding on the floor. She lived by herself. We took care of her and EMS transported, and after that, the guys that were on the truck with me, without hesitation, without question, wanted to clean up the blood and just the mess that was on the floor without being asked. And it really wasn't our job to do that, but they felt that they needed to do that to help the lady. It wasn't just taking care of her, it was taking care of the bigger picture. And although we never got to see the lady afterwards, and we never got a thank you from her, but we didn't expect that. It was just doing the right thing. And just seeing those guys with that motivation to do the right thing really has just stood out for quite some time with me. Just keeping me, to remember to keep that drive to do better and to have a positive attitude.
I was probably about 10 years old. My dad came out of his bedroom. He was working second shift, and had been asleep and was getting ready to go to work. And he came out and he had his clothes on. He was dingy and just looked really haggard, just worn down, tired. Had a lot of health issues too. And on top of that, and went to get his lunch pail and was starting to walk out the door. And I just remember looking at his face and seeing in his face there's almost like anguish, and he was very, almost had tears in his eyes, but he did it for us, and he was motivated by that desire to provide more for us. And that's every time I get a little bit down, or I'm thinking, well, I don't know if I can do this, I always look back in that and I see his face, and that keeps me going.
Here recently, I have this neighbor across the street. I call him the old timer. He's an elderly gentleman. We became pretty good friends. I've been cutting his grass for years just because he needed help, and I started doing some little odds and ends for him that he needed help as the older he gets. And so he invited me to his shop, and I knew that he did rugs, and that's all I knew. And so I went into his shop, and he was really eager to kind of show me around his shop. And so I went in, and he says, I bind rugs. And I could care less about rugs in my life. I don't really, never thought about them. But the longer I was there, he actually started binding these rugs. And what I saw in his eyes is a skillful craftsman. All right, and he was so good and so proud of what he was doing, and he's been doing it for 55 years. And he still loved going to work every day, and every rug that he does is perfect. And relating that back to the fire department is, if we take our jobs, whatever your job may be, and you take that and master it, and you think about every call, every medical call, every fire, rescue, whatever, and it's perfect when you leave, I believe that you've become a master at your craft. And you know, that's what I enjoy, watching craftsmen and these masters work in whatever they do. Once again, I don't really care about sewing machines, but watching him work his sewing machine, it's an art. And that's what I appreciate about anybody doing a job, is what type of effort they put into being a master at it.